And we were talking about how Elijah had to go up against all the prophets of Baal. But watch this, Elijah was on the run from the king and Jezebel. And Elijah had to be fed by the widow woman. He had to be fed by some ravens. He had to be, y'all don't hear me. But even after all that he'd been through, he still had to go face his enemy. Y'all watch this, I'm going to show you something. He was on the run from the king. And the king decided, because the famine was so bad, Obadiah, who was a governor in the king's house, I need you to go one way and I'm going to go another, and we got to find some water or everything is going to die. So he sent Obadiah out, and Obadiah just so happened to run up against the man of God. But see, you got to understand something about God. God is very strategic in who he allows to come your way. Even though Obadiah was in the king's house and the king was the enemy of Elisha, Obadiah loved the Lord. Because when Jezebel decided she wanted to kill all the prophets of God, Obadiah hid them in the cave. 50 by 50. So he was favored by God. God ain't going to let your enemies run up into you when the situation ain't right. He's going to make everything be what it needs to be for your enemies to come and be able to accept what they have to. See, you got some stuff that really happen in your life that your enemies ain't going to have no choice but have to accept. Oh, y'all ain't hearing me. There's some stuff God's getting ready to cause to happen that my enemies ain't going to have no choice. Understand I am who I am. And I know God. I love what God did. He said, Obadiah. And Elijah said, go back and tell your king that he needs to meet with me. Obadiah said, man, hold up now. You really, did I sin? What did I do something wrong? You just want me to go be killed? Because once I go, then the Spirit of the Lord will come and take you and put you somewhere. We ain't going to be able to find you in this kingdom trying to find you, to kill you. He said, man, go get it. I'll be here when you get back. Now watch this. God's going to let something happen that's going to be so terrible that your enemies ain't going to have no choice but to come seek your counsel. Because God's getting ready to bless you in such a way until your enemies going to recognize, surely God must be with you. I don't know why God got me going this way. Somebody said, this is a good day for my miracle. God get ready to do something. Oh, my. God get ready to change the landscape around. Go ahead and put your foot down on it. Say, my territory. You need to grab some stuff right now. Listen. He told me, I'll make your enemies your footstool. So when Elijah, watch this, I want y'all to catch this. Elijah talking to Ahab when he come back. He said, man, I'm going to show you something. Forget about the fact that it ain't rained in 3 years. Forget that. Because God said it's getting ready to rain. I ain't worried about that. God told me now, go, because I'm getting ready to release the rain. So he came out of hiding. After all he did was stepped out, the right person found him, so he could go back and tell them what they needed to hear. Y'all got to catch this. God going to send the right person your way to hear what needed to be heard so that God can allow your blessing to take place. Look. Ahab was an enemy who had to listen to the prophet. Then he said, when the prophet didn't come with a message of, I'm getting ready to release this rain when I open my mouth. He said, I want you to go get those prophets of Baal and the prophets of the grove, and I want you to get all of the children of Israel and meet me on Mount Carmel. He said, go get them. Now watch this. One thing I found out about a prophet, you just hear God and open your mouth. You really don't have a direction on where God taking you to. He take you where he take you. He needs all the people gathered together in one place to see your miracle. In other words, where he said, I prepare a table before you in the presence of your enemy. Your enemies get ready to see you blessed in such a way until everybody gonna get the news. That's all right. If you don't want to clap for nobody else, you need to be clapping for yourself. Because the truth be told, every one of us in here need God to manifest a miracle that my haters can't hate on. Tired of y'all looking at me. He said he all that. Why did I